Hello and welcome to Extinction Rebellion Africa News. I am Alana Azrai from Johannesburg, Gauteng, South Africa. First, the headlines. Extinction Rebellion Africa opposes Standard Bank's plans to fund the oil pipeline in East Africa. Conservationists are set to petition President Museveni over the giveaway of the Bugama forest. And police arrest Extinction Rebellion protesters as they carry out protests across central UK. And now for the news in details. Extinction Rebellion and social justice groups from Uganda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, and South Africa, as well as some international groups, have called on South Africa's Standard Bank to withdraw from funding an oil pipeline under construction in Uganda and Tanzania. They wrote to the bank highlighting the displacement of entire communities in the oil extraction zone, impacting up to 14,500 farms in Tanzania alone. Risks to freshwater sources, including Lake Victoria, which supports the livelihoods of more than 300 million people in the region, and severe degradation of habitats of African elephants, eastern chimpanzees, and lions. The letter also emphasized the significant climate impact of the pipeline, as the 216,000 barrels of crude oil expected to be carried by the pipeline daily could result in CO2 emissions of over 33 million tons each year. Reserves in currently operating oil and gas fields are enough to send the world beyond 1.5 degrees of warming, the target agreed at the 2015 UN Climate Summit in Paris, meaning there is no room for the development of new fossil fuel pipelines like EACOP. Environment and conservation activists are set to petition President Museveni over the giveaway of 9 square miles of Bugama forest in Hoima district for sugarcane growing. They say the forest reserve, with a rich fauna and flora, has various important natural resources, and the degradation of a part of it for sugarcane production contravenes the United Nations 2030 agenda. According to the Resilience and Climate Change Coordinator at Oxfam Uganda, Jackson Mahinda Rikara, they had previously sought clarification from NEMA, the National Forest Authority, and Parliament about the matter, and that they want the President's intervention to clarify on the giveaway by NEMA and the terms of the license, stressing that the giveaway contravenes the laws of the country. You are watching XR African News Online. The news continues after the break.
Oil is not a resource which is renewable. They'll extract it after like 20 years, it will be finished. But they cannot bring back the land.
Once oil exploration starts within the lake basin, the machines will be planted to extract oil from down, which is death caused to the ecosystem, both fish and all the fisheries resources within the lake.
The government is not defending us. They are only defending those who are coming. They are defending oil.
The only thing to do now is to mobilize the community.
Just read the latest IPCC reports. The glaciers are melting at nearly 100 times faster than they previously thought. And if you think we have it bad, if you think we're scared of the effects that will happen on our country, just look to the global south. These people are at the front line of ecocide. Indigenous communities have been battered. They've had their homes cleared. Just look at the Amazon rainforest, the absolute devastation being done to people's homes. This is not just a source for our paper, for our consumption, for our wasteful lifestyle. That's where generations of people have lived. That's where people's families and entire way of life is tied to. That's why we're here.
Welcome back. Dozens of Extinction Rebellion Polska activists blocked two major streets in the center of Warsaw, with some rebels gluing themselves to tires weighted with concrete. Several young rebels were detained, but were accompanied by lawyers who ensured their civil rights were respected. XR negotiators de-escalated conflicts between rebels and angry members of the public, some of whom labeled the protesters eco-terrorists. The rebels are demanding Poland acts immediately and declares a climate emergency, saying that if government won't sound the alarm, they will. And that social dialogue was no longer an option in Poland, and that civil disobedience is the only way to bring about change. Rebels in the Netherlands have held actions in The Hague and Amsterdam. As members of parliament returned to the Dutch parliament after the summer recess, they were greeted by 400 climate protesters from a coalition of Extinction Rebellion Netherlands, Fridays for Future, and Youth Climate Action. 50 rebels jumped into the pond surrounding parliament, calling out the government's inaction on the climate emergency and to kick the fossil fuel lobby out of the corridors of power. With a trash and fashion show, or items made from discarded materials, rebels called for a citizens' assembly on the climate and ecological emergency. In Amsterdam, two rebels imitating King William Alexander and Queen Maxima climbed onto the balcony of the palace on Dam Square for a royal wave and to drop a banner sharing their support for more rebellion. Extinction Rebellion kicked off a wave of rebellion across the UK on September the 1st. Rebels blockaded 3 major newspaper printers owned by 5 billionaires who dominate the UK's media landscape and suppressed the truth about the climate crisis to suit their business interests, causing a major shortage of newspapers across the country. The rebels tabled a climate and ecological emergency bill in Parliament. The bill, which represents a new tactic in the fight for a stable planet, was written by scientists, lawyers, activists, and rebels with a hope to turn the Extinction Rebellion demands into UK law. A handmade boat on a shopping trolley called Lightship Greta was pushed 50 miles from Brighton to London. Other action highlights were the blockading of a polluting waste incinerator in Cardiff to highlight the city's terrible air quality, a blue marine march, a protest outside Buckingham Palace, speeches by rebel writers on Tufton Street, home to a nexus of climate-denying lobbyists who, according to the rebels, have been whispering into politicians' ears for decades. Extinction Rebellion co-founder Dr. Gail Bradbrook said the public had got the message of the urgency of fighting climate change and apologized for any disruption caused. This is all the news that we have for you from XR Africa, from our Gauteng studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm Milana Azrai. Thank you for watching.